this?
Hey, everybody. Welcome to Reconstructing Podcast. My name is Monica, and I'm joined today by my co-host, Laura. Hi, Laura.
Hello, Monica and Amanda.
Hi,
Hello.
Amanda. Amanda's our guest today, and she's probably one of the bravest people that I know, and we're about to tell you why. Today, we're going to talk about cold water leveraging, otherwise known as cold plunging. Amanda underwent a 30-day cold water plunge challenge in a very already frigid, cold blizzard environment that just scared me by looking at it with the pictures you provided. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about her experience and if she feels like it helped her, the tips and tricks she might have to do cold water plunging if you're interested. First, I want to ask a question, which I found very interesting. Did you know that cold water immersion, cold plunge, was used as punishment for insane folks back in the day? I had no idea. Now, to me, that goes in line with what I feel cold water plunging would be,
Torture?
yeah, torture on Earth, yes. But that being said, we're going to ask Amanda what she thinks about cold water plunging. She's coming off a month-long ritual of nightly cold plunges. At least it looked like it was in the night, sometimes in the middle of a blizzard, like I said. And to me, that makes her the official expert in our circle. So, Amanda, how are you today?
I'm great. Warm.
Awesome. Oh, that's nice. That's a plus. So, can I ask what made you do cold water plunging? Had you done it before? What got you into cold water plunging?
Okay. My husband actually started doing them like I think 3 years ago, and I immediately said, "You're crazy. I'm never doing that." And I was convinced I would have a heart attack. I don't have heart problems, but I'm like, I will for sure have a heart attack. And he kept asking me, and then he asked me in front of my son by the end of December and asked me if I would do it 30 days. And I said yes. And I obviously like to try to keep my word, but especially in front of my children. And so I decided that I would try it for 30 days. I would try it for 30 days. And I regretted it deeply the first time I went in. The first time I went in, because the goal was to build up to 2 minutes. The first time I went in, I got down and got back up and screamed all the way back into the house. But what I noticed after I calmed down and warmed up is how good I felt. Like I genuinely felt like good. I felt relaxed and calm, and that is what gave me the courage to do it the next day. Besides promising my son I would do a 30-day challenge, I also felt so good that I kind of wondered if I would feel the same way the next day.
So would you say that good feeling outweighed the pain? I'm just going to call it pain because I imagine it was painful.
It was like it hurt. My feet hurt, actually. I equated it to felt like somebody hit me with hockey sticks, but I also went in with like leggings, like thermal underlayer and socks, because I don't know why. In my head, I'm like, I'm going to keep as many layers as I can on. And I soon figured out that like layers actually made it worse. But I feel like the good feeling kind of made me forgot how bad it was going in. So
how long did that feeling last? The good feeling?
The good all night. Like I have a little bit of anxiety, and it's the worst at night. I call it like mom anxiety, where I can't turn off my brain. I think of everything I did wrong and everything I need to do tomorrow, and I have a hard time falling asleep. And I did not that night. I was calm, relaxed, and slept like a baby.
Ooh, I like that. Now, one thing I failed to mention, Laura, and she agreed to this. If you can somehow, if we can get convinced by you to do a cold plunge, which I've never done, I could barely even dip my toe in cold water, that after this interview, at some point within the week, we will cold plunge together. So I failed to mention that, but that's kind of the goal. Either we go one way or we go the other with it. So, so far you said decrease anxiety, lots of calm that lasted through the night after your first cold plunge, and just bragging rights to your son who wanted you to go through with the 30 days. So that's pretty awesome.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you have any idea how cold the water was?
So it was at freezing, which is easy in Canada during winter. You just fill up. We use like a water trough for horses or barn animals. We don't have an actual like cold plunge unit, and you just fill it up with water. And then like we've had such cold weather that you usually need a pickaxe to get through a layer of ice. Yeah. So
I want to ask you about this setup, because I've heard, so for you, it's just already there because your ice freezes. But I did a little bit of research and it said that you need it 50 degrees or lower. I heard that it didn't change the benefit of being colder. What is your thoughts on that?
There's polar opposite opinions, right? And some people like it has to be freezing, it doesn't. But when you talk to people, yes, studies are great, but I like talking to people who've experienced it. And from what I understand, as long as it's like 50 or below, you get the benefits, right? But the freezing part, I think like you get more of a you get a dopamine rush, right?
Now that initial rush is probably a lot more intense. I think that the ice is an added benefit. The ice cold.
It's an added benefit, but I think you still get the benefits like 50 and below.
Did you look into the risks before starting cold plunge?
I didn't, because I'm a little bit of a hypochondriac. Like I knew that I was already afraid. My first thought was I'm gonna have a heart attack the first time he ever asked me. So I trusted my husband and he's like, you're gonna be okay. And like I said, I don't have heart problems, right? And so I thought, all right, he's been doing it for 3 years and he's not had a heart attack, so I am going to try. And quite honestly, the key supposedly, well, not supposedly, it is true, but he kept telling me you have to breathe. And so day 2, I went in and I tried to breathe and I couldn't. Like I could not physically take in a breath. And I think it's because all of the oxygen came out of me and I didn't realize and I panicked. The whole thing is to stay calm and focus on your breathing. And once you get that breathing down, you're good.
So there's something to be said about the heart attack. I did look into cold plunging. I mean, I've looked into it for maybe over a year, off and on, trying to build up the confidence, because I did buy myself a tub, an outdoor tub. I've never used it, but there is something to be said for that. So people that have heart problems are not encouraged to shock their system like that, because it can induce a heart attack. So there is something to be said about that. And I did look up some statistics, and there are cold water deaths that occur. For example, in the UK, about 400 people die annually from cold water immersion, from either shock response, low body temperature that they can't bring back up, heart muscle damage, and frostbite. Frostbite is actually a real problem with dipping in cold water and staying in cold water. And I wanted to ask you about that, because as you documented this online with pictures and comments every night, which was so awesome, and we were just rooting for you. But I noticed that you kept putting layers on, like, you had a scarf, you had the gloves, you had all these things, and my mind would say that would be worse for me, because I don't know, the contact would be more, you know what I'm saying? Like there'd be more friction, rubbing of coldness on my limbs. So what was the thought behind adding more layers? I know you had mentioned something, but
anything like that was underwater, I just had like a regular swim dress on, like shorter. But anything that was out, like my head, I started wrapping, because my doctor had told me years ago that sleeping with a window open during winter, as long as your hands and feet and head were warm, you would get a good sleep. And I know that like in Scandinavian countries, they will literally put their babies on balconies in the dead of winter. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to see if it makes a difference if my head is warm, which sounds ridiculous. It worked. It enabled me to like be calm enough to start breathing. So,
oh, wow. Okay, so wrapping your head contained that heat that would normally escape, and that helped. So after you would get out of your plunge, well, first let's talk about timing. How much time did you gradually build the time up, or did you just kind of try to reach for like a minute at a time?
My goal was to get to 2 minutes eventually, which I did. And I did it while my husband was away and my son was outside. I always did better if my son was watching. But I never went in thinking like, I'm going to stay in for this amount of time. I just went in with the goal that I was going to eventually get to 2 minutes. So just go in, stay as calm as you can for as long as you can. And being still is a huge thing, because if you're moving around, I don't know if it's like a psychological thing or the water moving makes you feel cooler, but still and calm, which is hard for somebody who's anxious, will help you stay longer.
Okay, that's so good to know. I'm writing all this down. So wrapping the head up, stillness and calmness, focus on breathing. Very good. And then how long did it take you to get to the 2 minute mark?
I think by like the second 2.5 to 3 week mark, to get all the way to 2 minutes. So
oh, wow. Okay. Now I read some physicians' articles that wrote that 11 minutes a week immersed in cold water gives you the benefits. So would it be safe to say that you reached about 11 minutes per week of plunging?
Yep.
Oh, very
Yep.
cool.
And yeah, that was the understanding. 11 minutes, no matter how you do it per week. Because my husband will do 5 minutes now in
Wow.
one sitting. Yeah.
Wow. So you mentioned that your husband has been doing this for a while. Does he do it every night? What is his routine?
Every night. And in the summer, it's a lot harder because he has to freeze like ice
Yeah.
blocks in our deep freezer and then like put them in and then go in. And we always have a thermometer in there.
Wow.
So
So he's committed to this. This is something
yes,
that's
he
awesome.
loves it. So mhm.
Amanda, what other benefits do you feel that you got from plunging? I thought that maybe you mentioned you were starting to feel not well at some point. Um, did you go ahead and cold plunge during that time?
Yeah, I actually okay. So I do not have the best immune system. Like if somebody like down the block sneezes, I'm gonna get sick. Um, and so of course when my children are sick, I'm always gonna get sick. And they ended up getting the flu, like a pretty nasty flu, right at the beginning of this. And I started feeling that scratchiness, like that telltale, yeah, you're gonna get sick. And I had wondered, should I keep going? And I talked to my husband, and he told me some people swear by it, say that it boosts your immune system, some don't. So I went ahead and continued. I did skip one night because I had a fever, and that's almost like conclusive that everybody on both sides agree that if you have a fever, you should just skip that day. And so that was the only day that I skipped, but I never ended up getting sick. Like I never got the full blown flu. I just felt unwell for a few days and then I was fine. So again, I credit the cold plunge because that's never happened to me. I would always get sick. So
Yeah, from what I understand, there's like cold water proteins. There's a specific name for them that are released throughout your body when you stress the body like that, and it
mhm.
really boosts the immune system. So that is amazing. So immune system boost sounds like that's another
Yep.
one that we can tick off. That's awesome. What was the hardest part about plunging? Was it like just stepping in? Like my imagination is just like I put my foot in and I just freeze. I probably won't be able to go any further just by way of how cold that initial shock is to my foot. I mean, I have a hard time even taking cold shower. Now, when I was a kid, because I grew up in Arizona, here in Arizona, during the winter, I would go to my best friend's house and we'd go back and forth from her spa to the pool and spa to the pool. And, that's like a real therapeutic thing that people have done,
Yep.
cryotherapy. And that seemed like it was easier to tolerate, probably because I was a lot younger, but, and it felt so good to just freeze and then get real warm and you get all those tingles and the blood is circulating.
I definitely
Mhm.
can feel after a really cold like plunge when I've been in the creek or something like that when you come out and you're just like invigorated. So there's definitely that after effect that lasts. And I was going to ask you, since you're doing this at night, you said you slept good. So
Yeah.
do you think that helped? Because I would think it would energize you and maybe make it harder to sleep. But you said it actually helped you to sleep. Is that
Yes.
something that you found consistently through it? So
Yeah, it absolutely helped me sleep better. And I was a little bit worried because I am one of those people that cannot exercise before bed because then I'm awake, right? But this, though it does wake you up, once your body temperature goes back to normal, you feel like calm. It's so hard to explain and it sounds ridiculous, but it made me way more peaceful. So
With two physicians talking about cold plunging. And I didn't know this because at night, sometimes I turn on the cold water when I bathe my littles and I'm just like, you'll sleep better. And apparently that is true because when you immerse the body in cold, the body heats up from within and vice versa. If you give them a hot shower before bed, the body tries to cool down. So there is something to that. Warming up from within after cold immersion.
mhm.
So you said sleep was also something that improved. How about energy? Like, do you feel like your energy throughout the day, the next morning was different?
Yep. I had an overall feeling of like wellness. Like I just felt better, calmer at night, more energy throughout the day. And that is what encouraged me to like want to keep going because I felt good. I actually also like my weight had plateaued. I couldn't lose weight and I ended up losing 5 pounds without like changing anything except for doing the cold plunge.
Mm,
So
that's
yeah,
it,
interesting.
yeah.
that's one thing that I did find very appealing is that I was watching something and the doctor was like, for women who are having difficulty losing weight, this is the quickest way because you're burning calories instantly, as your body calories are heat. And so when you lose that heat, you're instantly without any kind of work, I guess, but it's kind of work. That's
Right,
terrifying,
yeah, I know what you
but
mean.
it's the instant boost to your metabolism. And I mean, for women, that's super appealing. We get better energy, better, metabolism, better sleep. I don't know if there's a downside other than actually having to do the thing. So yeah. And you're glowing. Do you think that it affected your skin? Have you noticed anything like that that has been a benefit?
I do, and I thought, okay, you're making this up. Like I thought I was making it up, but my best friend at church, she told me, she's like, you are glowing, and said the same thing to me. Like she
Yeah.
could see a difference in my complexion, and so could I. So I'm like, okay, not making it up, because when you start doing things, the placebo effect is a very real thing. And I said to my husband, even if all these things I'm feeling are like placebo effect, it's still
It's
working.
still,
Definitely other people could notice the external change. So that's
well,
good.
you look beautiful, radiant. So yeah.
Thank you.
I agree.
Doing
Absolutely. Okay, some of the benefits I read about, and these are scientifically backed. Um, Activating of brown fat in the body,
Mhm.
increasing adrenaline without the cortisol kick punishment, so to speak. So your adrenaline increases without the stress hormone cortisol kicking in. Helps decrease inflammation, increases dopamine, increases energy, and weight loss. And you've crossed out a lot of those in terms of what you feel you benefited from. So that is incredible. Laura, how are you feeling about doing a cold plunge this week?
I think we should go get some ice, like right now, because I
Like
want to
right now?
glow.
Yeah.
I want to glow.
Let's
I want
start the
to
weight loss
see.
now.
I want to be happy. Yes, let's do it. So yeah, I guess we're gonna take the plunge after this. So yeah.
All right,
Along,
we'll do it.
Monica. Do we have a
Well,
challenge?
all right, challenge accepted. But I want to know if you know CPR, first of all.
I do. I do.
Okay, we're
Yes.
all going to be all right
We
then.
already know you do. So
Yeah, but I can't
oh
give it to
goodness.
myself if I have a heart
Yeah, what
attack.
if we're both down? You'll know how it ended
Yeah.
is. So
So,
yeah.
I want to just touch upon your son. You said your son was rooting for you, and you had shared some of the pictures, and he seemed to be really attentive. And was he at all scared for you? Did he want to get in with you? What was the outcome for doing this with your son present, doing it for him,
So he
keeping him around?
wasn't scared at all. He was just really excited. And he's been watching my husband do it, right? So he wasn't afraid at all. And my husband has done, obviously, it depends who you ask. I don't think it's safe for children. But sometimes some children do it. But my husband did make him like a warmer. It was still cool, but a warmer cold plunge, and he has done that with him. So
Oh, oh,
That's a
that's
it's
sweet
awesome.
exciting
idea.
for
I
him.
like
Yeah.
that to make it to involve them, because that was one thing I wanted you to kind of expand upon, is just how this benefited your sons, seeing their mom accomplish something that was very hard and scary, and more of the learning that they got from this, what the takeaways were for them.
So I always tell my sons this, and especially my 8-year-old, that there are things in life that are like hard and not fun, but the reward for them is outweighing the hard part. And so, of course, my first one, he was so excited because he knew it was going to be very cold for me, and he thought it was hilarious that I ran back inside. But as the days went on and I stayed in longer, he kept encouraging me, like, good job, mom. Right. And then he would give me a huge hug after and be so excited. And then, to be honest, even though all of those positive things resulted from doing the cold plunge, there were days where it would be time to go and do it. And I'd be like, I don't want to. And I'd look at my husband and he'd be like, neither do I. And then my son would be like, you promised. And I'd be like, okay. And so seeing him be excited was very encouraging to me. And then also showing him that I don't just say things. Like I don't say we can do hard things. Sometimes doing hard things is worth it to get the reward after. And telling him that if sometimes situations change, like you tell someone you're going to do something and you can't do that, but you better have a good reason. But if you promise, you got to keep that promise. And so kind of putting that into action and showing him that had a huge impact, because now I'm not just saying it. He like, okay, mommy doesn't just say that, she means that. Mhm.
That's great.
Absolutely.
I love that. Um, do you have any other tricks or tips or protocols that you would recommend for maybe somebody interested in doing it that's watching our video, in terms of how to get started, or just any
Uh,
ideas on how to do it? Do we
so
do it gradually? Should we start gradually, or?
I would say just getting yourself in. So the number one thing is don't go in slow. Like, make a decision. I'm going to get my whole body in there. Like, even if I immediately stand up after, I am going in there, I'm sitting down. And so doing that and not even thinking, wow, this is really cool, just like go in and don't, for some people, for my husband, having a timer helps him. For me, it's just like, I'm going to go in and I'm going to sit. And then right when I want to get out, I'm going to see if I can stay just a little bit longer. That's how I actually got to 2 minutes, is that I kept going, okay, I want to get out, and going, okay, 10 more seconds. And so committing to putting yourself under is key, and then slowly working your way up.
Adding more time.
Yeah, because when you first do get in, it's gonna take your breath away. The first couple times you're gonna be like, I can't breathe. And then you're gonna want to like run inside.
So
Yeah.
I love that. So commit to it, and don't go in slow. That's important. See, because my thinking is go in slow and just let your body get used to it. But that's really great advice. How about dipping your head in? Did you dip your head in?
No, I never got to that point. The plan was to like do that at the end. I did have to stop for a bit, but uh my husband does that at the end. So like he'll stay for, if he's gonna do 2 minutes or 5 minutes, and then at the end he'll go under. But again, there is nothing, like there is no conclusive study makes a difference.
Makes a difference. Sure. Okay. Yeah. Well,
being still, like once you
being
get
still.
over with the first time, once you stay in a little bit longer, being still is key. Like not moving and just being there. Being calm and just still is not an easy thing for me, but in the cold plunge, it actually is easy to
get in the zone. You look like you were in the zone.
Yes.
You were in the zone.
Yeah. It is.
And
like
you covered your eyes a lot. Did that help, covering your eyes? Or is that just for
I was doing it to like be silly for my son, but I did find it that I would stay longer if I had like sunglasses.
Okay, good to know.
It was not, I didn't do that for that. It was just like a bonus. I was trying to like make my husband laugh and make my son laugh. And then I was like, actually, I like having my eyes covered.
What was the response that you got for online for sharing that? Was everybody positive? Were people worried about you? Did they make comments like, why are you doing this? You know,
I did have a few people, including my husband's grandmother, that was a little bit worried, like, oh, be careful, or especially during the storms, right? Maybe don't go outside today, right? Just like a little bit worried, but for the most part, people were very encouraging and laughing with me, and it was a fun thing. So, and it like people were curious, right? Like, what is that doing for you? How are you feeling, right? And I honestly, people say that, there's no science that behind it that will say that it helps with anxiety. But when you talk to people who have dealt with anxiety, who have done the cold plunge across the board, they will say that it has helped them relax and quiet their minds. So
yeah, from what I understand, there is science that says that mood has been improved. So obviously, I would think if your mood is improved, maybe you're less anxious in some cases.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah. And my husband, I don't know because I've only been doing it in the winter, but my husband says that he has an easier time adjusting to even like the heat. It's not as unbearable to him. Like the cold isn't as cold, the hot isn't as hot. His body has an easier time adjusting to temperature. So
did you find that it got easier the more you did it? It just got easier to tolerate. You just knew what to expect.
100%. I still always, like right before getting in, I had to be like, okay, calm down, don't start panicking. That part never went away, but then the shock of getting in went away, and being able to breathe was easier. Like the first couple times I genuinely thought like, I'm never going to be able to stay in here because I cannot breathe, but eventually your body acclimates.
Wow. All right. I'm working myself up. I'm taking notes actually with all these these are all really good tips, really good tips, because I've watched a lot of videos on this. I've never heard of wrapping your head. No one's really said to remain still. I mean, I've seen people that end up remaining still just by way of the containment, it's too small to move around in, but these are all great tips, especially just like committing to it and getting in fast. I love that. So that's great. Laura, did you have any more questions for Amanda?
No, really. I just want to tell you that we're really, really proud of you, and that, like you said, like outsiders telling you that you are benefiting I hope that you can take that as the encouragement that, I mean, you are glowing and radiating, and your mood seems just so happy and pleasant. And, I'm sure it's not all from this, but it's great that you're using the tools that God gave you. And we're very proud of you for doing it. And thank you for letting us come alongside you to be
To
part of
live
it.
to live vicariously
Yeah.
a little bit. We're
Yeah.
vicariously
And
living through the experience, right?
you have absolutely inspired us, because I am, for so long I've put this, I mean, years I've been like saying I'm going to do it, but now we're committed. So we have to follow through. And I hope that we have even a fraction of the benefits that you've gotten out of it. So yes, way to go.
I'm excited that you guys are going to do it, because I
Yeah.
just, anyone that's like asked me or said that they were thinking about it, I'm like, just do it. Trust me. Once you do it, you'll understand, right? But I did want to add about cold showers. I can't do cold showers because the water shooting at you in cold, it's like an assault, right? Like I feel like that is like chaos. It's cold, it's whipping around air, right? I think a cold shower is 1,000 times worse than a cold plunge.
Saying that at least for you, cold plunging is easier than a cold shower.
100%.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And
I've never heard that.
I thought after the 30 days, like that's it, right? Just get through the 30 days. But I knew probably after the first week that I would continue to do them. And that's the plan. Like I don't foresee me not wanting to do them anymore.
Yep.
So
That's great. I was going to ask you if you planned on continuing. So you do plan on
I
continuing
do.
plunging.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Or
great.
you could make it like a date thing, a like nightly date with your husband. Do you guys ever do it together at the same
We
time?
always, he did go away for work for that 1 week, but yeah, that was like our nightly routine, and it was fun, right? Out freezing, what recording me while I was in. So yeah, it was good. So I guess that's another bonus that we had
Yeah,
that
that is.
full
Yeah.
time together. Yeah.
What a great way to bond over ice water, dipping your
Ice
body in
water.
ice water.
It's the
Right.
new
And I'm
hot
wondering,
tub.
like, what do you think our neighbors are thinking? Because it's like a blizzard outside. We have snow piles, and we're in our bathing suits, like running back into the house soaking wet. So
Yeah,
yeah.
those pictures that you shared, especially the ones with like the, I don't know, 6-inch frozen water on top that you had to use an ice pick to get through. I thought, never in my life could I do something like that. That is incredible. And this was a great chat. So the practice of cold water immersion has been around for thousands of years. In the last 5 years, cold plunging has seen monumental interest and an unmatched growth in popularity. For the healthy individual who still should get a doctor's okay, it may be worth a dip or two to gain some benefits, or just for bragging rights alone. Amanda, thank you for sharing your experience with us today. It was really nice chatting with you.
It is always wonderful chatting with you guys. So thank you for having me.
Hopefully you'll find something else to do, another kind of stress thing that you can do, and then we'll have you on again, and you'll be able to hold our hands through it, and get us over the cliff. So thanks for joining us today. Perhaps you learned a little something from our chat. We do hope you did. Don't forget to like and subscribe and click the notification bell for upcoming chats.